Well, one piece of good news from the Youth Justice in Australia report is the number of young Indigenous people under some form of supervision has fallen by 5% over the last few years. The Australian Institute of Health and Welfare has found that on an average day in 2012-13, there were about 6,300 Australians under community or detention supervision. About 2,500 of them were Indigenous. Now, that's an overall drop in the number of young people, but Indigenous people continue to be overrepresented in the system. They were 16 times more likely as non-Indigenous young people to have been under community supervision and 28 times more likely to be in detention. And on average, Indigenous people spent about 2 weeks longer in total under supervision. Look at this graph and you'll see, perhaps most worryingly, that there were more Indigenous 10 to 13-year-olds under supervision than non-Indigenous. The Labor Party says it's not a problem the federal government can solve by itself.
It's all states and territories, and the federal government's got to take the lead in this space. And it's not the time to be cutting funding for Indigenous juvenile justice, as we have seen by Tony Abbott with his legal aid cuts already.
Mr Newman says community involvement is most important in stopping Indigenous youth going to jail in the first place.
So what we've got to see in this country is the end to the cuts we've seen in anti-recidivism programs, the diversionary programs, the mentoring programs, the family support, the language and cultural programs that have been slashed and burned by state and territory governments.
Miles Morgan, NITV News, Canberra.